Hello everyone and welcome back for another Brutus Monroe video. Today we're going to be making a shaker card and we're going to be using some cool products. We're using the new Underwater Friends stamp along with it's a little bit older, What the Shell, I love that, and then a paper pad called Neon Glow. We're also going to be using this embossing powder, one of my faves. It is the Purple Night Shift embossing powder. So let's go ahead and get started with our card. I'm going to ink up the What the Shell. Every time I say that, I'm going to chuckle too. And I'm going to stamp that down onto some Express It cardstock. I'm coloring very basic, honestly. I want this background to be behind my shakers elements, so I'm not going to put a whole lot of detail or emphasis into the beautiful detail of this stamp. You could very easily just have so much fun coloring this image, but I've decided I'm going with basically a 2-color palette. So I'm going to do purples. I've started with some V25 and then I'm going to come in later on with, I think it's V17. But all of my images are going to be colored that purple color. But before I go ahead and decide that I'm going to color the entire background when that's not necessary, I'm going to draw a line around what I actually need. I'm going to make this shaker element part of that photo frame. And so I use that as my guide and just kind of use my pencil to mark where I'm putting it. And then I'll just loosely color all of the images using that purple. But with this stamp and how detailed it is and how absolutely gorgeous it is, you could have so much fun just sitting and coloring. Like looking at that manatee, all the little details on him could be different colors. And think of the mediums that you could use. You could watercolor, you could use colored pencil. Now that one stands out to me. Using colored pencil on this would be so much fun. I can imagine how gorgeous that would look. And like I said, how much fun you would have coloring that. You could just sit in front of the tube, watch some shows, watch some YouTube, whatever you want to watch, and then just color all of your images and just, oh my goodness, that could be the emphasis. But since this image isn't going to be the emphasis of my card, it's not going to be the main focal point, it's the background, I just went ahead and slapped some color down. And you can tell I wasn't real careful with my coloring, and some of those fish I did go over their eyes, but that is an easy fix and I'll show you that later. Yes, so my darker shade for the purple is going to be V17. And I'm not even going to blend that out. I'm just putting down that color. I want it to be sort of dramatic where that color touches the other purple. It adds this really cool contrast, especially with the geometric shapes that are already on these images. And so yeah, we're just going to put a little bit of color here and there, and just to make sure that we have some contrast with those purples. I just think that color combo is really, really pretty. For my water, I'm coming in with G00. Now, I know that is a little bit odd. I actually was inspired by a sequin pack that I have in my stash, not even sure where I got it, just had it in there, and I thought this would be perfect. And so it seems kind of funny that I would use a green shade. You know, you think you might go right for blue, but because it's almost more of a turquoise to me, like a green turquoise, I thought this G00 would be a perfect base. So I will just color all around, not even being careful with the bubbles, because again, that is an easy fix, and I'll show you that later. But we'll just put all that color down, going around all of those little images, and then we're going to move on to our next color, which actually happens to be a blue-green color. My blue-green is the BG34, which is still more on the green spectrum, but it gives you this beautiful teal shade or turquoise kind of shade. And so, I'm doing the exact same thing with it. I'm going to put that color down like the shadow would be underneath each of my images, and I'm not going to blend it out. I want it to be dramatic. So even under our little narwhal, which I love that there's a narwhal in here, and a manatee, that just makes my heart happy, honestly. And so I'll just go underneath all those images, and then here's where we fix it. All the little bubbles, all the little dots, we're just going to use a number 8 Sakura Jelly Roll pen to basically put the dot back where it should be. And I'll even fix some of the eyes so that they're not purple anymore. And it's just that easy. And then we're going to go on and color our What the Shell image, which I think this one was released last summer, which makes sense, but I love it. I love, love, love it. And so we're going to do the same color palette, obviously, with this. And so some of that might be a color you would think that wouldn't be, like our little algae or seaweed is going to be purple. And the ground will be purple. And then we'll come in with our blue greens and our greens and we'll color the water the same color. Again, not worried about the bubbles because we can fix that as you saw. I will bring in some gray shades for the clam itself, or the oyster. I guess it's an oyster, huh? And then we'll color those with our C's. So I decided to go with cool tones since our colors in the background were more cool tones. So we had C4, now C8, and then we'll bring in some C6 to blend that out just a little bit more, and that'll finish up our, or no, I'll bring in the C4 just to kind of blend that out a little bit. For our photo frame, this is a laser cut from the store, and I apologize because this may be out of stock right at the moment, but I love their laser cuts. They're just great for this sort of technique. I just covered that with embossing ink from Brutus Monroe, and now I'm covering that with the Night Shift embossing powder. Now, you have seen me use this before. You've seen me use the different Night Shift embossing powders. This one is the purple shade, and I thought it would just go so beautifully with our background. So that's a fun way to take your laser cuts to the next level. So I'll just heat set that till that is smooth and melted. And look at that. So it looks kind of black in that light, and then as you shift it, it's purple. Love it. Okay, so as I said, this is a shaker. So I need to trim down some acetate. This is actually projector film is what it is, and so I have a giant bulk of it. So I'm cutting 2 of them, and if you've never seen me make a shaker before, then I'll show you a little trick. So what I like to do is I will put down, in this case I need 1/8 inch score tape all around my image. You'd want a nice strong adhesive. I usually try to stay away from the liquid adhesives in this case because you have to wait for things to dry, and that can be, for me, you know, I'm impatient. So, all right, I've peeled off all the release paper. I'm going to stick down my first piece of acetate. That is our base. Then I'm going to grab some skinny strips by Derice. I don't know if that's the exact name of them, but I will have them linked down below. And then we'll put that all around the frame because it just fits perfectly in there. And then we're going to use some Brutus Monroe foam tape on the bottom part of the photo frame because it will match perfectly and it'll work fine. And that way I can kind of save some of these skinny strips. Peel off all the release paper on that. And you want to do that first because if you don't, you can end up with sequins everywhere when you put your sequins in and then try and take it off. So now I'll put my second piece of acetate down, and that will just make like a little capsule. So it makes it really easy to make your shakers and you don't have to worry about getting stuff everywhere. I did put some more 1/8 inch score tape all around that. And then this way we can adhere it right down to the panel that we had colored. And I did cut that down. So perfect. I love how that turned out. Yay for shakers. All right, now we're going to move on to our card panel. I've grabbed, and I know it seems weird, some neon glow paper. This is what I love to do. I love going through my papers and seeing what might work and fit, and I thought this just worked so well. Now, no, it's not, you know, it doesn't look like an underwater scene, but I just loved that purple paper and I wanted it on there so bad. My card base is some Not Your Mama's heavyweight cardstock that I cut down to 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, and I am scoring that at 4.25 inches. And when I am doing that, I like to, because it's such a heavyweight cardstock, I will score it on the front and the back. That just breaks up the fibers a little bit. With one of the leftover pieces, the scrap pieces, I'm going to glue that down to the inside. Y'all know I like to do the insides of my cards. So I'll glue that down, making sure not to put it all the way to the edge just because otherwise it'll have a hard time closing. So I will have to trim off a little bit of the excess. And then I'm going to take my What the Shell image again, and we're going to ink that up with some Minty Fresh Simon Hurley ink that is now in the Brutus Monroe store. So that's exciting. And then I'll just stamp that down. And I love how subtle it is, but it brings everything together. I did cut out my image and clearly did a very terrible job, so thankfully I can salvage it by just using my circle foundation dies. And then I'll bring in my number 8 Sakura Jelly Roll pen, and then we'll start adhering all the pieces to our card panel, just using some of the Brutus Monroe craft glue. And then I'm going to stamp my sentiment, which says, "How the shell are ya?" I don't know why I giggle every time I read that. It's just fabulous. So I'll stamp that down, cut it out, and then we'll use our craft glue to adhere all those pieces down to the front panel. I'm not going to put any more bling on this because it's a shaker. I don't know that it needs a whole lot more. So we'll leave it at that, and then we'll adhere this to our card base. And so it will take up the whole front of the A2 size card. I didn't really want any of that white showing through, so it'll cover the whole back. I love that. And that purple paper just is awesome. So there you go. There you have it. Nice fun little under the sea shaker using some new products and some older products. If you liked this video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, thank you so much for stopping by, and I will see you very soon in another video. Bye everybody.